All right, folks. A pleasant good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you across the world. Thanks for joining us, Spoon TV, on this exclusive interview. My name is Nelson Colette. On the camera, our producer is Ernest Benda. Um, we're in an exclusive interview following um, another sitting here at the Liberian Senate today. This exclusive interview is with Grand County Senator Thomas Yaya Nimely. We're here to have a conversation with him following the return of the Liberian Senate. He's one of those senators who went on a break, have been engaging with his constituents, and of course, some of the happenings at the level of the Liberian Senate and a lot of other issues we talk about here. I want to welcome you. Thanks for joining us. I kindly share the program as you join us. Um, and let me go across to say good afternoon to you, Senator Nimely.
Thank you. How are you today?
Yes, sir. Welcome to Spoon TV, sir.
Thank you.
What a great way to have you on the at the first, should I say, edition of Spoon Exclusive, where we are highlighting, throwing some lights on some of the workings here at the Liberian Senate. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Thanks.
Okay. Returning from your break, you and the rest of your colleagues went on your quarterly break. You came back. How was it like? You want to give us an idea of how the entire break went?
Well, thank you. I guess those of you that are not in the House of Senate, you like to refer to this as a break. But for me, it is not a break. It is another working opportunity. It's a working session. And that working session is more important than the work that we do in the House of Senate. The work that we do at the Capitol building, compared to the work we do in our constituent, that work is very important. So my break, as you will refer to it, for me, it was intended for me to visit my people. First, to see how they're doing, to go and make report from town to town. Normally in the past, people will go to Zwedru and call a town hall meeting. Maybe a few people gather there and they will speak on radio, but not everybody got radios in their houses. So I go to the towns. I go and meet with the citizens, meet in the Palawa hall, sit down and do a report. And then they will tell me what their problems are, and then I will bring the problems back. And in the first week or the first day of our sitting, we will go on stage and discuss our experiences on those visits. The 1 month that I spent there, I never slept in Zwedru. Maybe if I did, probably like one day.
So
But I went from village to village. I went from village to village, town to town. There were places that I traveled during the campaign. The town had the whole town, there was no chair in their Palawa hall, no cement in their town hall. Some of the town halls they have, were just messed up. So, and I had the names of those towns, written down during my campaign. And after I won, I had to buy chairs to go to the towns. Go to a town hall that don't have chairs, depending on the size of the town, you get 50 chairs. These are heavy-duty plastic chairs. If the town is very small, I give them minimum 15 chairs. And that's what I did in most of the areas. Some towns will not have their roofing sheets are leaking.
Okay.
And then I was, okay, I will give you this. And that's what I did all around. But in addition to that, the problems in the town had to do with boundaries of the communities that were established before.
Okay.
And now you have Burkina Faso coming, they are interested in farming, and people are trying to redefine boundaries. Those who don't have the history to the boundaries are now explaining the new boundaries and conflicts.
You're talking about the boundaries between towns and villages within
Yes,
Green County.
yes. Boundary between towns, boundaries between families in terms of who owns what forest. Most of all, if not all of the forests in Grand Yaya is communal forest. It's owned by a family, it's owned by a tribe. So there's no deed. And so all of the older folks that have the history at their fingertips, they are all gone, they are dead. So what you have now is you got young people there who are greedy and they want more forest to offer it to the Burkina Faso so that they can have bigger cocoa farms. And those that are aggressive will kind of say, oh, they play for my power. And they will be very aggressive about it. And if the opponent person is not aggressive, then that person who is aggressive will take more forest.
Now, and interestingly, I just want us to go to that aspect a little, especially when you're talking about boundaries between towns and villages being one of the major issues that the people of the county are now, talking about, they're concerned about. Now it brings us to this conversation that's been ongoing for some time, and I followed closely yesterday your engagement during the confirmation hearing of the immigration boss designate, when you were very keen on the presence of Burkina Faso in Green County, the legitimacy of their stay in the county, how they get to acquire documents, to reside in the county. Where are we with that? I heard you say to the immigration boss designate yesterday that immigration officers at some point, they go to the county, take money from some of those Burkina Faso, and in return they give them documents to stay in the county. To what extent is this affecting normal life in Green County?
We are the ones that invited Burkina Faso.
Okay.
The Burkina Faso, 90% of the Burkina Faso did not come by themselves. But when you invite Thomas Yeye Nimely from Burkina Faso and he's coming, he will come with his brother. And the Liberian citizen will say, let's go, I have farmland. So we can cultivate it, plant cocoa, get proceeds, and divide it. That's what some of them will say. And then when they come, the Burkina Faso is coming with his brother, and then they will say, okay, here is the forest. They measure the forest is probably like 20 hectares, and the man will say, the Liberian will say, you take 10, I take 10. But you alone, the Burkina Faso will brush all of the 20 hectares and go and provide the cocoa seeds, plant the cocoa on the farm, cocoa germinates, he will brush the cocoa, maintain the cocoa until the cocoa grows and ready for harvest. He will harvest the cocoa, dry it, and then eventually will turn around and say, Chief, your 20 hectares, your 10 hectares is now mature, I'm turning it over to you. Others will say, I got 20 hectares, go ahead and cultivate all of the 20 hectares. When it's time for harvesting, you get 40%, I get 40%, and we take 20% and give it to the farm.
So it means that it's the Liberians in Green County that are giving the land to the Burkina Faso.
Exactly. So the Burkina Faso is not aggressively taking the forest.
Okay.
However, when the Burkina Faso comes, now that he knows that he has a larger family that is still in his country, he comes and you, the boss man in Liberia, takes him to the farm and say, we just measure 20 hectares, go ahead and brush. Then you, the Liberian, you come and sit down in town. The man goes and he brings his family to help him brush. So he come with 20 persons. Because he wants to, 20 hectares, one person cannot brush 20 hectares. 5 people cannot brush 20 hectares and get it completed in the course of 2-3 weeks. So he will come with 10-15 people, all of whom will be men. So he goes ahead, he brushes the 20 hectares. By the time you go back on the farm in the course of 2-3 weeks, he has surpassed 20 hectares. He's into 25. And that 25th hectare is not the owner of the person who gave him the 20 hectares. He has gone into somebody else's forest. So the next person will come and say, John Brown, you brought this man, gave him your 20 hectares, but he's now into 25 hectares. This place is for me. Confusion starts. Confusion starts. Some people will come and bring 50 Burkinabés.
You mean up to the number 50?
Up to the number 50. They will bring about 50 Burkinabés. And these will be the gentlemen who are very aggressive in the town. They will come and bring 50 Burkinabés. They pass them to the back of the forest. They will not reach them in the town. They pass them to the back of the forest and say, go ahead and brush. And that bush, which is probably 100 hectares, is for the entire family. So the entire family, within the course of 1 week, somebody goes into the bush and finds out that people have already consumed 25 hectares of that 100 hectare. Confusion starts. So it is not the Burkinabé. And if you go in the forest and you find a Burkinabé into your forest and you tell him stop, he will stop. Burkinabé had never gotten aggressive to the extent where he will say, I'm not stopping. He will stop and pack his colors and come to town. If you, the family, when you conduct your investigation and that 5 hectares does not belong to John Brown, it belongs to David, the Burkinabé will come to you and say, the 5 hectares that are brushed and extra, I want to maintain it for you. Let me brush it and maintain it for you and plant your cocoa. When you agree, that Burkinabé also works for you and works for John Brown.
So in some instances, if I'm getting it right, in some instances, those Burkinabés are working for Liberians. They're maintaining the farmlands.
Yes.
They're doing the farming, harvesting the cocoa, and they divide the proceeds.
90% of them.
With the Liberians.
Sure.
Senator Nimely, you were elected in 2023.
23, right.
2023 during the just ended election. At what point did you start to observe? Did you get to realize the influx of Burkinabés in Grangeda County? And
20 years ago. 20 years ago, when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was president, Senator Marshall Dennis was in this very hall, and he made a case so many times. They sent the AFL there. At that time, Burkinabé had not started to enter the country. About almost 500 Burkinabés had just encroached on Liberia's land at the border between Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire, near Senator Marshall Dennis town. They took about 2,000 hectares of land. They brushed it and they planted their cocoa. The Superintendent Kaifale was then superintendent. Superintendent Peter Solo was then superintendent. Peter Solo was during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's time. Kaifale was during President Weah's time. They sent ordinary youth there to go and arrest them and bring them to town. They came to town. Whatever investigation that was carried out, nothing happened. They called AFL. AFL left from here, they went there. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. The people remain there. Those farms are there today and the people harvesting. We don't know at the end of the day whether this now forest land will now eventually belong to Cote d'Ivoire, or the people have agreed that they know that they are harvesting and brushing and living in Liberia.
Now, prior to your election and maybe being very aware that there was this situation, did you have any plan as to how, you would have addressed this thing if you were elected as senator, of Grangeda?
At that time, there were senators before me.
Okay.
There were senators, and I just said Senator Marshall Dennis was at the forefront of this matter. And the government was fully informed about this matter. Fully informed. And nothing happened. Then when I became senator, I had to go to do orientation to educate the citizens from town to town. There is no town in Grangeda besides even Plo. I think I want to Plo. Yeah, we want to Plo. And we had to educate the citizens. Do not sell land. The land, you don't have deed, you don't sell it. Do not give land to your Burkinabés by saying you got 10 hectares, I got 10 hectares. Or you can say that go ahead and plant. When the farm grows and we are cultivating, we are harvesting, you got 40% of the proceeds, I got 40%, 20% goes. As long as the farm exists, we can do a contract that if I cease to exist, my children will inherit the contract.
Now, the major question a lot of people have been asking is, what's the problem? Why are Liberians not taking ownership of their own maybe farmlands, like to do the farming themselves, to cultivate the land, to
They don't
plant
have the
crop?
means. They don't have the strength. They don't have the means. Brushing is a difficult task. I mean, I have brushed before. When I left government in 2006, I made a rubber farm, made a palm farm. It's a difficult task. You go to work, you sweat from in the morning up to the evening hours.
And the Burkina can better do
And
that.
they can better do that. That's their profession. So so the Liberians will stay in town and have the Burkinabes to do this. But what we see here is that the problem is not coming from the Burkinabes.
Why is it
The
coming from?
problem is coming from the Liberians. The conflict that is taking place right now, yes, we see that the Burkinabes are coming illegally. They don't have any travel document to enter this country. We don't even know their last names. But the problem is from us, the Liberians. We are the ones that are having family conflicts. We are the ones that are fighting every day because John Brown, who is a member of the family, has taken 50% of the family forest and given it to his Burkinabes that he brought without consulting the elders and saying, let's divide this forest because I want to bring my Burkinabes.
Now, just a quick one. Then we end up with what happened today on the floor at the Liberian Senate. Your county over the time has been that county that will always be mentioned when you talk about inaccessibility, especially during the rainy season.
Sure.
The roads leading to Grand Julia County or parts of Grand Julia County will be highly inaccessible. There were instances where Liberians going to that part of the country will have to take days before they get there.
Sure.
I remember about a year ago, your colleague, Senator Zoe Mother Pennell, had a press conference where he lavished praises on the administration for the massive improvement in the road condition in Grand Julia County, that the roads were highly pliable now, and that the administration is doing well. Given your engagement, you just came from the break in Grand Julia County. You just interacted with the people.
Sure.
What can you say with respect to what the current condition of the roads are in Grand Julia County within that corridors? Are there improvements now?
The main road, the main highway from Monrovia to Grand Julia is pliable.
Okay.
It is pliable.
Better than what is being
better
in
than
time
before.
past.
We have lost a lot of vehicles based on bad roads. Recently, I went to Grand Julia twice during my break. I spent 3 weeks there. Then when I came back, I was called back again to go and open a clinic because I'm the co-chair on health,
Okay.
along with the deputy minister of health. So we went there, and the road is pliable. It took me about 7 hours, 30 minutes from Swedru to Monrovia.
Wow.
In the past, it used to be 2-3 days.
Wow. In the past,
In the
2-3
past, when
days.
the roads were bad, yes.
But now about 7 hours.
Now 7 hours and 30 minutes it took me. So yes, the roads are good. As a matter of fact, the quota road, I should use the word quota so that people will understand. The quota road from Ganta to Tapeta, that road is, I don't know what if you ever been to Grand Julia before or to Tapeta, but it's,
I've been there once.
you haven't been there, but that quota is almost near the Tapeta gate before you enter Tapeta itself. So yes, there's progress in the making. The road is good. The rest of the road from, which is a dirt road from Tapeta to Zwedru, they got the Chinese on the road that are patching all the potholes, and so the road is okay. The road is okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I want us to come back to the activity today on the floor in the chambers of the Liberian Senate. There were concerns raised some time back with respect to the issuance of work permit interestingly, you chair the Committee on Labor at the Liberian Senate.
Right.
And the labor minister was made to appear today.
Sure.
There are concerns about the thousands of work permits that have been given to non-Liberians, when in fact a lot of Liberians do not have jobs. And given everything we saw today, the labor minister has now been given 2 weeks to come back with additional information with respect to the specification and all of that. Do you think the labor ministry is operating in the confines of her duty, the responsibility given her, wherein, aside from just making sure that Liberians have jobs, but that foreign nationals coming to the country will have to meet up with certain requirements and then they can have work permit? Or do you think there should be a turnaround in the way that entire process is carried out, wherein Liberians, it should be Liberians first, and just that way? What do you think about this?
If you say it should be Liberian first, then maybe no Liberian will get a job in America. Then maybe no Liberian will get a job in other countries, other developed countries. The ILO I think they are still here.
Okay.
International Labour Organization. We are signatory to that protocol in terms of providing jobs to non-Liberians. So yes, there is a protocol that we have to meet. The Senate has a reason to request for the listing, detailed listing of who you give work permit to, because there's a possibility that the person you give work permit to, that permit could have been a job that a Liberian can perform.
Okay.
When you look at the youthfulness of this country, our children, our brothers have traveled and they are returning home, and they have specialties in other areas. So we need to find out whether there's a Liberian that can do this job. So yes, it's a good thing. On the other hand, what I have said in the past is that there are two entities in this country that need to be removed from the budget requirement. That's the Ministry of Immigration, that means the Immigration Services, and Labor. They have to be removed. They have budget quotas to meet.
Okay.
They have budget quotas to meet. Immigration gives resident permit. And you go and get your resident permit. When you give the money to immigration make contribution to the budget. Same as the Ministry of Labor. Ministry of Labor recently made a $9 million contribution to the budget. So if you want to give Liberian jobs, then the executive branch of government should remove the Ministry of Labor from budget contribution. Because if this man is fighting to produce $9 million, and hopefully it seems to me when I looked at the budget projection for next year, I think they're supposed to produce $10 million. This year they're supposed to produce $9 million, and they produce $9 million. So they are fighting to produce money for the budget contribution. So if you are interested in your citizens getting jobs, then you say, hey, we remove you from budget contribution. Whatever monies you make now, just make sure you give people work permit in keeping with international law. But the rest of the jobs, let it come to Liberia.
But don't you think there's going to be a loophole here for revenues to be diverted somewhere else? Because if those entities are not contributing to the budget, at the end of the day, permits are still being issued, whether resident permit or work permit from the immigration and that of the Ministry of Labor. Don't you think there's going to be a loophole here where someone collects the revenue, but okay, there's no obligation such as contributing to the national budget, and so it goes somewhere else?
Revenue is collected by LRA, not by Labor Ministry.
Okay.
So the loophole you're talking about, that loophole may just be a shortfall in the budget, in the contribution from Labor Ministry. Okay. But the actual collection is done by LRA. So So if you want to meet labor ministry halfway and you want to meet the executive branch of government, LRA halfway, say, okay, listen, we are reducing your contribution today by 20%.
Okay.
So that the remaining 20% of jobs that we are forgiving, you give it to Liberians. But you still have to make maybe your 80% contribution to the budget. But if you say you let a man know ahead of time that we want $9 million from you, what do you think he's going to do? He doesn't know how many people he will have to give work permit to in order to meet that $9 million budget requirement at the end of the budget year. So what we are saying is the Senate and the executive branch of government need to sit down and draw out a plan and say, labor ministry, you got 8,000 work permit that you gave. And these work permit you gave based on these categories, we want you to keep these categories for Liberians. And when you are keeping these categories for Liberians, so we are reducing your contribution to the budget, hopefully by 20% or by 15%. So that this man doesn't have to struggle. He knows that by the time he's getting closer, he will stop it and start giving Liberian jobs. But if you just leave him we are not his boss man. The minister's boss man is the president. Our job is to have oversight on this minister. We cannot fire him. If anything that has to do with termination of his employment, it has to be a recommendation to the president. It is the president that does his performance, his job performance. It's not us. So what we are doing here, we are having oversight responsibility on his scope.
Okay.
And we're telling him this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. But if we tell him and then he goes to his boss and the boss says you're doing a good job, that waters down our entire oversight responsibility. So we need to work hand in hand with the executive branch. We are not a military barracks. We are just lawmakers. And if he is violating the law, then we'll call him and say, you are violating the law. Then he will say, well, my boss says, yeah, you and your boss, you're violating the law. But that doesn't end his employment.
I just want to transition a little, just a quick one as we wind down this interview. I followed you closely doing one of your deliberations on your returns, and you as a mental health certified mental health therapy or clinician, I seem to be corrected on that. About 6 to 7 months into the administration, you said that the administration has lost the war against drugs.
Sure.
Now, it's 1 year, 4 months into the administration. Where do we stand now as per your professional analysis of what the fight against drugs has been so far within 1 year, 4 months of this administration?
They still lost the war on drugs. What is our goal? Are we only focusing on interdiction? Are we just arresting the drug dealers? And we forgot the population. Why are we arresting drug dealers? We are arresting drug dealers so that they will not sell drugs to our children. But then what happened to our children that have already taken drugs and are addicted? Do we have any treatment centers? The drug policy should include rehabilitation, so that when you arrest John Brown, who is selling drugs, you have just taken John Brown off the market, but before you arrested him, he has already introduced drugs to a whole community where the young people are already addicted, and they are craving, and they are committing crimes. So where is the rehabilitation part of this process? Do we have a psychiatrist? Do we have a psychologist? Do we have a counselor? Do we have a government treatment center? Do we have a mobile team that will go around and pick up these young people, give them counseling, and bring them to a center and let the psychiatrist do an evaluation to find out whether this drug has had a serious mental impact on this individual? Do we have a psychologist to do a psychological evaluation to find out the effect and how this whole drug has impacted on this individual social life and his social life, his entire family? Do we know how his mother has been affected by this child that she has so loved, and now the boy is on drug? How is it impacting the family? How much had this child stolen from the mother that this mother can't let go and she's still crying, but then the children in the house can't eat because the young man is still stealing from the children? That is a holistic process that we have ignored. All we're doing, we are dealing with the military part of running behind drug dealers, arresting them, and then
Someone may
putting
say
them in
that is
jail.
deep, and that would require a lot in
But
terms of funding.
that is part of the process. Why are you arresting people? You're arresting people so they can't use drug. But when a person has used drug, that's your citizen. What do you do with your citizen that is on drug?
Senator, if Senator Nimely, for example, was asked by this administration to volunteer his expertise in the fight against drugs, is that something you'd be willing to do?
The government need to draw out a drug policy. It is not the person that I hire to be the drug czar that was supposed to write the government drug policy. The government, the executive branch of government, must sit down and write a clear drug policy that this country will implement, that will help me and help my children and help this country. I can't rely on John Brown, who I just had to say, come here, you are the drug czar. What is he going to do? All he's going to do is just put people in the field. They say, oh, John Brown selling drugs, they run in the house. Without court order, they run in the house. Whatever is not related to drugs, they seize it, they walk away. And that has been one of the problems as well. You know, you're going to arrest drug dealers, and you have reason to believe that this person has sold drugs and he used the resources to do so and so. You need a court order. But are the people following court order? This is a country of rule of law.
Wow.
So we got to practice it. If you're going to actually deal with drug, then it's a holistic process. So don't sugarcoat the process. Don't sugarcoat it, because the scientists that are in the basement that are making drugs today, they are advancing the drug that will create that high in a minute. A drug that will give you a very quick addiction. They are making it in basements. So if you are doing interdiction, then you have to start doing treatment.
Just finally, Senator Nimely, how would you rate the performance of this government 1 year, 4 months on a scale of 0 to 100?
On a scale of 0 to 100, I get them 40%.
40%.
Yeah. I think the roads are getting better. The roads are getting better. I looked at the report from the Minister of Public Works today. Yes, I see that they have identified roads to be done. I didn't see any figures to those roads to see how much it will cost to build a road. The government, we still got some problems with how we deal with our citizens in terms of employment.
Okay.
Who gets fired and why they get fired. I am the chair on labor, and I'm required to ensure that the labor laws are implemented across the board. But labor laws are not implemented across the board for the entire country. If the government is firing somebody because the person is a sedition, when I call them, they don't show up.
You think that is happening now?
Well, you asked me to do an evaluation from
Okay.
January to present. Am I right?
Yeah.
Good. People are fired because they are seditions. Do you fire somebody because he's a sedition? No, you don't. They bring people for confirmation hearing, and we confirm them, and as soon as they get to the offices to get to work, somebody else comes and say, oh, this person was supporting CDC yesterday. And they get fired. They get removed from the office. Okay, so that is something People join political party for survival. All of us that join political party, we are not due payers. We don't pay dues. We just have a belief that John Brown will win, and when John Brown wins, we'll get a job. So if John Brown doesn't win, the next day we'll join another party until that person wins. Hopefully we'll get a job. So we are jumping like monkey from tree to tree, looking for survival, and that should not be a reason to fire your own citizen from getting employment within the government, knowing that government is the sole employer. And let me come to the other issue. The other issue is there is no employee in private sector today that can boast that they will have a vacation time from their job. That I worked for 1 year now, Chief, I need vacation. And I take a vacation, I get paid for it. All employees in private sector in the country are contracting. They don't have sick time. They don't have vacation time.
So as chairperson on labor at the Senate, is that what you've observed for the time?
That's not what I observed, that's what's happening.
Wow.
They are all contractors. Who is responsible for making people contractors? Who is responsible for giving green light for a company to issue contract instead of fully employing somebody? It's the government. It's us.
Senator Nimely, you've been senator for 1 year, 4 months. What's the most difficult thing about being a senator in Liberia?
Well, if you're a senator in Liberia, a lot of the people feel that you are corrupt.
Is that the reality?
Well, why would it be a reality if I only depend on my paycheck? I don't control a budget. I depend on my paycheck from month to month. I get more Liberian citizens coming to my office here looking for money because they believe that it looks like we're getting free money from somewhere. But sometimes we give it because this is the only hope. So when we take pay, then we give a little bit here and there. But I think the House of Senate, we don't work 2 days a week. Sometimes, depending on the committee, you work 7 days a week. Sometimes you work 6 days a week. Sometimes, most of the time, we work 5 days a week. We don't work 2 days a week. 2 days a week is our session time. That's the time we meet and we discuss issues in session. But the rest of the days, we got personal work to do to clear our decks. We got a lot of reading to do. We got a lot of reports to make. And we got a lot of committees to attend. So it's a lot of the ministries that we have oversight on when they are having programs, we go there, we attend.
It's part of your
It's
duty.
part of the oversight responsibility.
What do you miss about private life?
Well, private life. In Liberia, I don't know what private life is.
Nah, I'm talking about that time when you were now a senator, just someone who's not in the public space.
It was a little bit boring.
Okay.
I know I had an opportunity to be employed by the executive branch of government. As a matter of fact, I was offered a job by President Sirleaf, but I did not take up on that offer because I wanted to be a senator. Because when you are a senator, you get the opportunity to be objective and to say what you have to say and what you want to say and walk and go home without somebody coming and going, oh, Mr. President, your minister says something yesterday, then by the time you wake up in the morning, you get fired. I want to be a senator because my lifestyle does not give me the opportunity to say yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm a very bold person. And so when I see it, that's how I talked about it. So that's the job. I like to be here. I like to be here. And let me say this again. We fought, people want to say, oh, we are rebel leader. Yes. You know what it means to be a rebel? When something wrong is going on and you don't like it, you want to straighten it and nobody wants to give you a chance, you'll make your way. I don't know if you are a father, but if you are a father, The child that complains is the child that gets attention in the house. The one that sleeps every day and doesn't say nothing, he will always wait for the one that is troublesome to give him food to eat. You know, go, but daddy, I want to eat your rice. Daddy, your rice on the table, I want to eat it right now. Oh, go eat it. Then the quiet one will say, take me. So this country, we have been here for a long time, 177 years. We haven't gone anywhere. There is a need for us to be bold. Tell ourselves what we want, when we want it, how we want it. We pass the time of being pacified. Millions of dollars have been made and nothing's happening. Sierra Leone just surpassed us. Guinea surpassed us. Ghana all the way in front. Africa Coast is gone. We are still sitting down here. We're not shaking. All right? So I think it's about time. We need some radicalism in this process to ensure that decisions are made and let the people benefit.
At the early stage of the administration, you advised President Boubacar to let go of the whole war crimes code thing and focus on the bread and butter issue. If you were to give another advice, will you be giving similar advice?
No, I will change the advice.
What would be the advice this time?
He now has an agenda.
What's the agenda?
And that AARD agenda is calling for $1 billion. Now, if you go to World Crime Code, you're not going to get that $1 billion. You're going to destroy what you have already built in the course of 1 year, 6 months. You will destroy it. In the first place, you don't have the money. If you're going to use your AARD money to go to World Crime Code, you lose. And if you're going to depend on the white man money to come and prosecute your own people, you become a racist and a prejudice. Because you don't want to take your own money, you don't want to allow the white man who doesn't care about you to take his money. The white man will not get you money for nothing. They want something in return. So whatever it costs, $200 million, you want to use it to come and prosecute your own people? You're gonna take the next 4 years plus.
So you said you change the advice. What would be the advice this time around?
Stick to your rescue. World Crime Code is not part of rescue. If you define the definition of rescue, it's not revenge. Because the point here is he's not prosecuting, he's revenging. He's not seeking justice, he's revenging. Okay? There were other presidents who came, and you were vice president to one of those presidents who served for 12 years and said there are bread and butter issues. I got to look at the bread and butter issues. The bread and butter issues are still on the table. Another president came and stayed 6 years, and he said the first president came and did not deal with bread and butter and dealt with bread and butter issue and did not deal with World Crime Code. I got to deal with bread and butter issues. Now you are here. The 12 years you sat back and you watch your superior officer talking about bread and butter issue. Now it's in your hands. Do you want to drop those bread and butter issues that are now paramount? They are more paramount because every day we are burning children. Here we provided $114 million for education in the budget. And in my county, they just put 20 people on payroll as teachers. And in the Ministry of Health, $89 million. Nothing has happened yet. We're still supplying drugs. People don't have ambulances. They don't have this. Doctors and nurses and volunteers are not yet on salary. Those are all bread and butter issues that we need to look at. You want to drop it and go? If you drop it, you lose politically.
Wow. You drop it, you lose politically. Well, Senator Nimely, I want to say thanks a lot for granting us this exclusive interview. It's been a great interaction. Anything you want to say in closing just before we...
Most of the time when I speak, people will say, I'm a seditious.
I
am not a seditious. I've never been a seditious. I just look at bread and butter issues. All right? I think there were principles that brought us to the front of this whole struggle. And those are the principles we're talking about. It ain't got nothing to do with CDC or United Party. I don't speak in those terms. If you sedition, you do bad, I will say you bad. If you United Party, you Liberty Party, you do bad, I will say you bad. I ain't got nothing to do with politics.
Wow. Thank you so much for talking to us, sir. Well, folks, again, we want to say thanks a lot to all of you for watching Spoon Exclusive and an exclusive interview here with Grand Julia County Senator Thomas Yeye Nimely. And of course, we've been having an interaction with the senator, of course, hearing from him what his engagements have been during the break, what his comeback plan, and of course, some national issues we've been talking on here on this exclusive interview. I want to say thanks a lot for watching. My name is Nelson Collet. Thanks to our producer, Ernest Bernard on camera. And thanks to all of you for watching. Till we come back, have a good day and bye-bye for now.